their number increased because the Messenger ﷺ has left this world. The Mujtahideen Sahaba, their number increased. Some of the scholars have said approximately around 112. Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri mentions there were about 112 of these great Sahaba who were considered to be the fuqaha, the jurists, the muftis. And the rest of the companions would refer to them. And then after that, the subsequent generation, the tabi'un radiallahu anhum as well. We have the famous 7 al-fuqaha al-sab'a, who are considered to be the famous 7 tabi'i, who are famously known for the fiqh, for the ijtihad, for the understanding. People like Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib was a great tabi'i. And Imam Malik radiallahu anhu, his madhab actually is taken a lot from Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib. Abdullah, another person was from the 7 fuqaha al-sab'a, Abdullah ibn Utbah bin Mas'ud, who was the grandson of the brother of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And number 3, Urwa bin Zubayr ibn al-Awam. He was the nephew of Aisha as-Siddiqa radiallahu anha, and he studied everything. He took his knowledge from his auntie Aisha radiallahu anha, because he was Urwa bin Zubayr. He was the son of Asma, who was the sister of Aisha radiallahu anha. Likewise, Al-Qasim bin Muhammad bin Abi Bakr, the grandson of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Again, he took his knowledge from his auntie, but his Aisha radiallahu anha, because his father Muhammad was the brother of Aisha radiallahu anha. And Abu Bakr ibn Abdurrahman ibn al-Harith, and Sulaiman ibn Yasar, and Kharija bin Zayd bin Thabit. These were 7 fuqaha, fuqaha as-sab'a. These were all tabi'un. And then afterwards as well, there were many other major fuqaha, because there were literally thousands of tabi'un. But these were the major people who were considered to be those mujtahid, muftis and mujtahids and fuqaha. Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, Ata ibn Abi Rabah, Hasan al-Basri, Al-Qama. And these were the great. And then after that era, as I said, scholarship started in the time of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it came through generation through generation. And after that we had the 4 imams that came into existence. Now the 4 imams, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam al-Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal radiallahu anhum ajma'in. May Allah be pleased with all of them. There are 4 schools. Now there were other mujtahid imams as well. Imam al-Awza'i, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Sufyan al-Thawri, and many others. But their schools never lasted. Their schools didn't last. I mean, there were a lot of mujtahids. If their schools lasted today, we could have followed their schools as well. Now we need to understand something here, brothers. In that time, there were 2 major schools. In the time of the tabi'un, Imam Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu is a tabi'i. Imam Malik was in the same time of Imam Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu, and Imam Malik radiallahu anhu was in the same time. In that time, we had 2 major schools. In Medina al-Munawwara, we had the madrasa, what they call madrasa al-Hijaziyah. This was a school of Imam Malik and his students. In Iraq, we had al-Madrasa al-Iraqiyah, which was a school of Imam Abu Hanifa and his students. These were like the 2 major, like what you call Oxford and Cambridge of today. At that time, that's how it was. You either belong to, Madrasa al-Iraqiyah or Madrasa al-Hijaziyah. And when we say that there's a school of thought, like for example, the Hanafi school, it's not like one man you're following. A lot of people make this grave error and mistake. Now when someone says, I follow this particular school, you're not following Abu Hanifa. He's a human being. He can make mistakes. If somebody says, I follow the Maliki school, you're not following Imam Malik ibn Anas. He's a human being. He can make mistakes, no problem. Imam Abu Hanifa himself made, in the Hanafi school, there are so many issues in which the Hanafi school does not follow Abu Hanifa. When we say there's a school of thought, there's literally thousands of scholars. The research, the endeavor, the ijtihad of thousands of scholars over thousands of years. That's just one school. Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu, he used to have a committee of 40 people from whom he would take consultation. They would sit down day and night. They weren't butchers, they weren't carpenters. They never had any other job in life from Fajr till Fajr. They never even used to sleep at night. Seriously, some of them wouldn't even sleep at night. I mean, if you look into the biography, I don't have time to go into the biography, they would not 1 hour, 2 hours. Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu, he would only sleep 2 hours in 24 hours. But day and night, studying, researching, extracting rules from the Quran and Sunnah, not by himself, with his students, Abu Yusuf, Qadi Abu Yusuf, and Imam Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Shaybani, Imam Zufar, Hasan ibn Ziyad, and many others. Likewise, Imam Malik, he had his students, Suhnun al-Maliki. And Imam Shafi'i, who came later on, Shafi'i and Ahmad radiallahu anhuma, they came later on. Imam Shafi'i was a student of Imam Muhammad ibn al-Hasan. But even him, he would have a community of students, like Imam al-Muzani. Imam Ahmad had students as well, like Abu Bakr ibn al-Athram, and many others. So these are schools of thought. It's not just one human being. Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu, they would spend sometimes 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, investigating, researching, looking at one issue, studying all the verses of the Quran that relate to it, and going through all the hadiths that relate to that particular topic, investigate it, research it, check the chains of narrators, see if there's a contradiction, what is the contradiction. I mean, it's very delicate, it's a very detailed process. And they went through all of this. And then finally they would, after, sometimes they say that it would take months, sometimes 6 months on one issue, whether you should say Ameen loudly or silently. This is not something we should debate about anyway. There's different ways, but what's preferred? They would spend 6 months and then they would write books. And all of this is documented, whether you should do this or do that. All these schools have different methodologies, and that's what I'm just going to talk about. But so they laid down foundations, they had methodologies. All these school of thoughts, and now what I'm going to say to you, I need a lot of attention. They had methodologies. All these schools of thought, Abu Hanifa school, Imam Malik school, Imam Shafi'i, his school, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, they had what they call usul al-fiqh, which is the methodology, the path they used. And why did they use those paths? I'll give you a few examples. This is very important, right? And you need a lot of attention. They used paths. They made foundations. They had certain methodologies that they used in order to arrive at a conclusive ruling. And those of you who've studied it slightly may know that you have the main 4 sources. The main 4 sources, the main 2 sources for deriving rules, the way we pray, the way we worship, the way we do things. The main 2 sources is Quran and Sunnah, without a doubt. Of course, those 2 are. Another thing is that sometimes when someone says that they follow a school, there's nothing wrong. Somebody doesn't want to follow school, don't follow school. Somebody wants to follow school, alhamdulillah, follow it, it's good. Don't misinterpret what I said. But the issue is that we don't live in a time where we start arguing. Why are you following the school or why are you not following the school? We don't live in that time. We have other issues and we need to get beyond that. That's a very important point. The person following the school, do not rebuke him, ridicule him, and don't think he's not part of that Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It's a perfectly valid thing to do, and Muslims have been doing it for thousands of years, over thousands of yees. Throughout the world, even now, throughout the world, if you've been to the majority of the world, they follow schools, right? Majority of the world. Some of the brothers who've only been to Saudi Arabia, they only, see, the Arabs don't follow. But go to other parts of the world. Go to Syria, go to Jordan, go to Yemen. I've been to Yemen, most of them are Shafi'is. I've been to Syria, I stayed there, I lived there, I studied there. Majority, 50% Hanafis, 50% Shafi'is. Go to Jordan, I've been to Jordan as well. Majority, there are some people who don't follow schools, but they follow schools. I've been to Lebanon, see the Muslims in Lebanon. Go to North African states, go to Egypt. I was there a couple of years ago. Most of them are Shafi'is there. Go to the North African countries, to Tunis, Tunisia, and Mauritania, and all these countries. So people do follow schools. It's not like you just go to Saudi Arabia, the only Arabs are Salafis. Who says that? That's a ridiculous statement to make. But if somebody doesn't want to follow school, alhamdulillah, I have friends who don't follow schools. I don't have a problem. As long as they are not saying that, you're wrong, brother, you're wrong, you're doing wrong, you're deviating. No. It's good brothers. I know some good brothers who don't want to follow schools. Alhamdulillah, I embrace them. They are my brothers, they are my friends. There's nothing to, this is not a time to debate. But the point is that we need to understand and we need to accept one another. These Muslims have been following schools for years. Now these schools, Quran and Sunnah, and I said to a lot of people that look, when someone says, I follow a school, don't say I follow Abu Hanifa or Shafi'i. The better way to say this? Say that I follow the Hanafi school's explanation and interpretation of the Quran and Sunnah. That's a better way to say it. I follow the Maliki school's explanation or interpretation of the Quran and Sunnah. That's a better way to say it. Because that's what it is. You're not following a school. You are following Quran and Sunnah. But rather than you are using, your own brain to understand the Quran and Sunnah, you just have someone explain to you what the Quran and Sunnah means. That's basically what it is. if somebody wants to use their own brain, alhamdulillah, that's good for you. You use your own brain and intellect, and do if you think you're right, you have all the necessary tools, go ahead.